So Modernize is a lead gen home improvement company, and so they're kind of like Angie's List or Home Advisor, who's now just Angie. But my job was to generate as many leads for contractors who wanted for homeowners who wanted to replace their windows, get a new roof, that kind of stuff. And I started out doing affiliate marketing. It was my first job out of college. I had no idea what I was doing, no experience, but kind of like worked my way up. And Modernize was like an MBA in performance marketing as a company because the entire company had been built on performance, whether like affiliate or paid search, paid social, buying leads from other people who generated them. Like it was all numbers. Everything was tied back to revenue and profit. And so if you excelled in that environment, you did well. You could exceed. There were other opportunities there, but it definitely wasn't for everyone. So I did affiliates for about 2.5 years. Had a brief stint on the data team where I built charts and dashboards and stuff. And then one morning on like Saturday morning, the CEO emailed me and he's like, "Hey, would you come run our paid search campaigns? Our paid search guy is leaving. We'll teach you everything you need to know." And I was like, "Yes, absolutely." And so did that for 2.5 years. And like, I still use all of those skills I learned there today. And like, I wouldn't be in the place I am without that first job at Modernize. And so just like super grateful for that.
What were some of the things that you learned regarding paid search optimization at Modernize that have really stuck with you?
Yeah. And so there's a couple things like, and so when I was there, we, everything was kind of back in the day when target CPA or like that kind of bid strategy was still pretty new. And so I heavily tested new bid strategies when I was there, trying to like find new ways to optimize. And so that was definitely part of it, of like testing the latest and greatest Google things. I think before they got a little black boxy with like discovery campaigns or demand gen campaigns and performance max and stuff, but like that was really important. And I mean, for that is no, so it's imagine like you're a homeowner looking to replace your windows and really getting into their mindset of like, what are they searching for? Building my kind of campaign structure around these different buckets of like, you have like different brands of windows and different types of windows. And sometimes those things overlap, like you want an Anderson single hung window or an Anderson picture window, or you just want to replace your windows or you want to find cheap windows. And so like being really good about grouping everything into the right ad groups, the right campaign structure. I had the best Google rep I've ever had when I was at Modernize. His name was Alex. He was amazing. And he introduced us to portfolio bid strategy, which really changed our entire performance strategy. Because before then, we had three different campaigns for each trade. So I had like three different Windows campaigns, and they were grouped around the revenue that we would make by location. And so we had like our tier one location, best revenue, middle, low, and they each were running different bid strategies. And he was like, you can wrap these in a portfolio strategy because they're all optimizing the same keywords, and like you'll let them share data among each other. And like that was a huge unlock for us and let us go after new trades that were previously unprofitable for us and just optimize a lot quicker. Like I could change my CPA bid, and within a day I'd have enough data for Google to like get to the new number. And so like just like grouping and structure and management over an account that I grew to spend, over, $1 million a year on spend on paid, was pretty huge.
Were you uh, bidding based on a projected LTV per product category there?
Yeah. And so what was nice about lead gen is we knew instantly when a lead came in how much money we'd make, more or less,
Right.
because we knew how many contractors were in that area. So like if a Windows lead in 90210, like I knew roughly we'd make, call it $100 off of that lead if it checked all the right boxes. Like they needed to replace their windows, not repair them. And so the revenue feedback was immediate. And like when we booked, the revenue was 30, 45 days later, like whatever that like net payment schedule was. But like early on we had the revenue number. And then also crucially, we had a quality metric really early on. So like like imagine your activation metric in SaaS where like, someone has like, is a, 3 day active user or whatever your like activation metric is. We had an equivalent of that from a quality perspective. So I knew what keywords were good or bad also within a couple of days. And so that tight feedback loop just let me like optimize very quickly. And I haven't had that quite that same experience in SaaS ever since, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that too. I mean, the brand that I work for full time has a longer term kind of revenue payback period, and so we do have to look at these upper funnel metrics to be an indicator of quality. And what that looks like is it may be, instead of, you want to optimize for a new account or revenue associated with a new account, but if that new account doesn't onboard for 14 days, what you might want to do is like optimize for a net new lead. So it's not just an email submit, it's a net new email submit, something along those lines. So are you saying that like it's a little bit more challenging to do that with some of your B2B clients now?
Yeah, definitely when I get into like the demand gen sales led cycles where like I might generate a lead today that turns into an opportunity next month that closes next year. Like that
Yeah.
that feedback cycle is rough, so you really have to get these like early signals kind of like up. And so that's true for my sales led clients, and then it's also true for my like self-serve PLG clients too, where if they have a 7-day free trial, a 14-day free trial, then it just pushes out when you can really understand like, the post sign up mechanisms of like, okay, are we retaining these people, or are they churning early, are they adding their credit card in that window, and like what are the right kind of steps and metrics that we look at. So to me it's actually more challenging in SaaS because the revenue number isn't is clear. Like even LTV isn't clear. Like if I have a client who has never done paid media before, like we use their existing LTV as a benchmark, but it could be vastly different when we do Google Ads LTV, or like paid search or paid social or LinkedIn or whatever. Like I've seen that happen over and over again too, whereas like you use this one benchmark and then it comes in above or below and you have to adjust, and it's part of the process.
Yeah, for sure. And what about affiliate marketing at Modernize? Were you close on that, or not as much?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I was one of 2 to 3 people, depending on when, that were running their affiliate program, and like affiliate revenue at Modernize was like 40 or 45% of company revenue. It was huge. It was a huge portion, and so we'd go out and find media buyers who were generating their own leads on paid search. On Facebook was big, Outbrain, Taboola, like that stuff was huge back then. YouTube wasn't quite as big, but yeah, I'd go out and find other people doing this and get them to send us their leads or send traffic to us, and like buy traffic, buy leads from them, and grow that as a channel. And so I did a lot of that, and that taught me the affiliate stuff I've taken with 2 other companies. Like I launched an affiliate program at Mailgun. I launched Loom's affiliate program, which they just sunset like a month ago, 2 months ago. A lot of stories, a lot of info I can share of what went wrong or what didn't go wrong there. But yeah, and then most importantly, what that taught me is there are people out there making hundreds of thousands of dollars from affiliate marketing every month, and I was like, I want to be one of those people. And so that is kind of what's motivated me to eventually go out on my own and make affiliate income like part of my income mix, because I just saw like us cutting checks for 50 grand, 100 grand for these people. It's like, I would like to be that person.
So, how do you go out and find those people, and what does that program look like? At least, maybe let's stick with Modernize for now.
Yeah, and so for us there, like I was really heavy on LinkedIn. A lot of the lead gen affiliates were also active on LinkedIn. There's a huge kind of like network and pool of those people there, and I'll still get outreach from people who are in lead gen who see my like history to see if like I want to sell them home improvement leads. I'm like, nah, dude, like I'm out, like I'm not in anymore. But it's sales. It's basic. It's all relationships. It's all outbounding, finding people. Like we had ways for affiliates to find us, but the best affiliates we found in the wild. And so there's like the prospecting on LinkedIn, and then there's like us just combing through Google or Facebook or the internet to see like who's advertising where and trying to tie it back to their website, and then figure out who owns that website and find an email. So it was kind of like salesy a little bit, but a lot of outbound research. And then you get them in. We had a whole process of like you sign a contract, you send some test leads, we give you a budget, and kind of like vet quality and like ramp up from there. But I forget the number of affiliates I signed, like over 100 easy of like affiliates over the years at Modernize who would send us leads.
So it would be folks on LinkedIn that are creating content around home improvement and then sending them to Modernize. That's kind of what it was.
And so it's almost less influencer. So that in my head is like an influencer of some, I mean, maybe the wrong word, but someone who was like making and generating their own leads via the content. It was just a guy on LinkedIn who's like, hey, I have a performance marketing business and we generate leads in roofing or home improvement or auto insurance or mortgage. So we kind of had these like parallels of like, oh, and so these people would post on LinkedIn looking for buyers like us to buy these leads. And so
They would be basically running campaigns on Facebook saying, do you need a roofer, and then they would get that lead and then send it to Modernize, essentially.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And so like then like the owner of that company would then post on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, we have all these leads looking for buyers or whatever," and we kind of like negotiate and go from there.
Wow. Okay. And how do you streamline that a little bit? So one of the things when you're working with maybe some folks, like, how are you sizing, prioritizing, right? Because I feel like you can go into that world and there can be like quality concerns, or how do you know if someone's legit or not?
Totally. And so like over the years we got really good, and like Modernize was great at this. They were probably best in class at like understanding performance marketing data, having tight feedback loops compared to like the bigger peers in that space. They were very kind of like tech forward. And so there were a couple ways. Like the best affiliates for us at the time were emailers, like people who have these gigantic email lists who are essentially spammers, to be completely honest. Like they would just email these people offers and people would click through and submit leads, and like the quality on that stuff we knew from our data was super high. So like priority one was emailers, then going after people in paid search. And so I would use all kinds of tools to change my IP address and where I was searching from to just like go and search a bunch of keywords in Google. And eventually they got better at scraping and like building a whole system in house to go do this, to figure out like who's bidding on what keywords and what websites and all of that stuff to find affiliates. Um, and it's kind of like going from there, but it's kind of like we knew over time what was good and what was bad based on the historical quality. And what would happen is our call center would dial on every lead that came in to try and book appointments for our contractors. And like that immediate, like I would know the next day basically how good a new source was if they had like 30, 50 leads for us to dial on. And that appointment set rate, if it was above or below our average, would give me an indicator of like what the like early quality is, of like, is this actually a homeowner? Do they have a project? Is it the same project they filled out? And so like tying all that stuff back together was really important. It was all in a database that fed into a dashboard that I could see every single day as a marketer. And like that tight feedback loop made me better at my job.